Hey everybody, welcome to today's video. This video is kind of our replacement for English speakers that can't enjoy our weekly webinars on onboarding. I'm gonna do exactly the same as we do in a weekly webinar. The only thing that you're missing from this video instead of a webinar is the live chat. But instead of the live chat, if you have any questions to this video or your startup, of course you are welcome to start a chat with us and write out your questions or concerns, anything, and we'll help you get as easily through this startup in the program as possible. But in this video, I am gonna go through the main functions in the program and the main settings that you are gonna need to take a look at before you get started. When you log in, this is probably the view that you are used to seeing as of right now. There's not much to say just yet. But before you get good going, then I would recommend you going through your settings first. So when you click on settings, you'll notice that the settings will be divided in two categories. There is profile and organizations. So if we take a look at profile at first, this is where you set your settings for your profile, for your user, for how you log in, let's say. So this is your name, your personal name, and the email address that you log into. You can also add a phone number, but it's not really useful. We can see it in our system, so if we have a problem with your account, then we can call you instead of reaching out on email. But other than that, you can change your language. So if you haven't already changed from Danish to English, this is where you can do it. You can also change a password for your profile here. And yeah, then there's notifications. So this is a test profile, so I have plenty of organizations, but on individual organizations, you can change the notification preferences on here. Then we also have privacy. So this is where you can disable chat, disable the bookkeeping hero. And if you're ever in contact with us and we need to see something in your specific accounting or test something out, then we might ask you to grant support team access to this account. So make this check mark. When you create your profile, this is not on per default. So this will be something that you have to set on if you are in contact with us. Then there's organization settings. This, kind of like the first profile settings, is where you insert your organization's information. So the organization's name and its tax ID and other information as well, like address. And this address will be the one that comes up when you create a invoice for your customers. Then it would be very professional for you to have an address on your company organization. While you're in your trial period, you also have the ability to delete account data. So this will be the first 30 days of your trial period when you create the account. So in this period, what we would like you to do is just like test out the program. If you do anything that shouldn't like keep being there, then you have the opportunity to delete trial period data. Then there's also accounting settings. So this is basically settings for how your company does its accounting compared to other companies. Because there are differences. For example, the first three settings here is when you close your fiscal year and when you started your company and what year your first fiscal year ended. These three settings together kind of like give the system a good idea of how your fiscal year progresses. So if you are from January to December, then obviously your fiscal year ends in December. But there is also some companies that have like a longer first fiscal year, or they don't have a usual fiscal year. So maybe you start in April and then you end in March. Then this would be the settings where you can insert that, so the program the system makes correct fiscal years for you. Then you can also change how you would like to report that. So if you would like to report it quarterly, biannually, or monthly, then this is where you can do that. So our system again makes the correct reports for you. Yes. Underneath you can change some VAT settings and the chart of accounts. These settings won't really be useful for you unless you are in contact with us probably, and we tell you to use these settings, because when you create your account, we have already set up the VAT settings and the chart of account to function for a basic company. So unless you get a notification from us or like an accountant or something that tells you to edit these settings, then they're not really useful for you. You can take a look at them, but I'm not gonna explain them any further. Then there's VAT rates, and this kind of goes in hand with what I said earlier. These VAT rates, these rule sets, sales VAT, purchase VAT, they are already set up for you, as you can see, to function for a basic Danish company. So there are some rule sets, and these rule sets are put on your products, and we're gonna see that later on when we do our invoices and see how they actually affect your invoicing and what you actually need to think about. But these rule sets are made so that you don't have to think about a lot when you're doing your invoices. Then there's the standard sales VAT rates. So there's basic sales VAT, as we know, with 25%, and some different sales VAT for different kind of VAT-free examples. And the same with purchase VAT. So these you probably won't have to look at further. They are set up for a standard company in Denmark. Then there's some invoice settings. So before you make your first invoice, I would recommend you to look at these settings beforehand. The most important to look at, in my opinion, is if you come from another accounting system, then your next invoice number needs to be correct. So if you've already invoiced for, like, let's say 20 invoices, so your next invoice number should be 21, then this is the setting where you can set it to 21. Or if you don't want our system to sequential invoice number, then you can put it as manual input. Yes. Also, then there's our templates for invoices. So as per usual, we have a standard template. And if we take a look at this is just a basic invoice template that has like just a basic format. But in this template, which is included in the Plus subscription, you can edit some of the text here and appearance and stuff like that. So if you are considering the Plus subscription, then you can take a look at these templates. Another example where templates might be useful is when you want multiple templates. So let's say if you are a company that has two names, so if you have like two websites where you sell, but accounting wise it's the same company, then you can have one template for the first name and another template for the second name. And then there's your payment methods. It is important that you fill out the payment methods before you make an invoice, so that obviously you can receive the money for the invoice. As per default, we have already created a bank payment method, but obviously we don't know your bank account number, your registration number and stuff. So I would recommend you to hold the mouse button over this bank and then push edit over here. And then you have the opportunity to put a routing number, bank account number, and then save. And once it's saved, then this default payment method is automatically coming onto your invoice unless you take it off. You can also add multiple payment methods. So if you want your customers to have different kinds of payment methods, so if you want them to either pay by bank or either pay by mobile pay or something else, then you can make multiple payment methods. And then on the invoice, you can choose what payment methods should come on. Yes. Then there's users. So if you have our Plus or Complete subscription, then you have the opportunity to invite more users. Cases where this could be useful is if you have co-workers that you would also like to collaborate on the accounting with you, or if you have a co-worker that always is paying for expenses on their private card and they have to upload these vouchers, then you can invite them as upload. Stuff like that. If you want co-workers to help you with the accounting, then there's users. But if you only need a bookkeeper or accounting invited to the accounting, then Basic would be a subscription also for that. So on Basic, Plus and Complete, you have the function to invite bookkeeper or accountant. When you invite bookkeeper or accountant, then we have like a list of bookkeepers and accountants that are registered in our system. So you can search for them and then they will pop up. If they don't pop up, then your accountant or bookkeepers need to contact us. Then there's subscription, where you can see the next billing date and what subscription you are on. You can also see all the invoices that we have sent you beforehand. Then there's API tokens. API tokens, I'm not gonna go deeply into this, but this is for if you have like another program that you're using that can synergize with our program. So for example, if you have like a web shop, then you can get an API token with like StoreBuddy or IEX, and then you can integrate them to our system. So every time you make an invoice in your web shop, you don't have to manually do it in our system again. It will automatically send data from the other program to our program. This is also a function that is only on Plus and Complete subscription. But any further ado, let's go right on to the first step in the menu. Let's go to dashboard. So in the dashboard, you can kind of get an overview of how your organization is doing, if there's anything missing or what the status is, kind of a quick view. You can also edit the dashboard. So if you need some of these widgets that are currently hidden, then you can go down and unhide them. You can also move them around. But yeah, these widgets are kind of designed for you to get a quick idea of how it's going. So let's say, for example, there's the results in DKK where you can see your result for the year divided in months. Then there's also the VAT widget, which I think is a very good widget. It kind of reminds you if there's a deadline coming up and how much you owe or are owed for that period. There's also the bank widget, which I can't really show you very well because I don't have an actual business account that I can connect. But if you have connected your bank, then it would actually show your bank balance from your connection compared to the booked bank balance. So if you're missing some bank lines or if you haven't booked something for your bank, then it will show you there's a difference. And if there's a difference, that obviously means that you have something to book or you have booked too much maybe. So this is also a very good widget to see if you're up to date. But let's keep going and go to our invoice tab. So I'm now gonna show you how to create your first invoice and what to keep in mind when you're doing it. If you create invoice, you get this tab where there's a few boxes you have to fill out. The most important part is obviously the customer that you are invoicing and what are you actually selling. So let's start with the customer. I've already created a list of customers to show you how the VAT is calculated in our system. But for this sake, we're going to show you how to create a new customer, how it's shown. So when you create a customer, you get this open window that says create contact. The customer that you are creating can either be a company or an individual, like a private person. The reason why it can be one of these two is because if you are like invoicing in EU, then there's actually different VAT rules if it's an individual person or a company. So it's important that you choose the right thing here. Obviously, if it's a company, then you use company. If it's just a person that is buying this, you pick individual. But when you pick the right category, then you just fill out the information. We recommend filling out as much as you can, but the only really important part is a name and a country of sorts. The country is also important for the system to make sure it's the correct VAT rule that is put on. So let's say there's a different VAT rule for Denmark, as for Germany, as for USA, United States. So it's important that you pick the country correctly so the system can pick the VAT correctly. But yeah, then you fill out the name. If it's a company, then there's also like a contact person that you usually send the invoice to, where you can fill out this. It's also very professional to put on the address, so that will also come on to the invoice. And then there's some extra fields that might not be important for you, but options for you. But I'm not gonna create contact right now. I am gonna use one contact that I've already used. I've already created Ole Olsen, and we're gonna invoice him today. If it was a company, then I could pick the contact person here, so that I would say that it was this contact person I've been in contact with, and this is the contact person that I'm emailing the invoice to. Then there's also like a little message, and I'm gonna show you exactly where this is put on the invoice. So it's just like a little text you can put on before the actual products and the prices. So that could be useful in many cases. But then we actually need to find out what we are invoicing. And here we need to pick a product that we're invoicing. So I've already created one product, but as for this case, I'm gonna show you what it looks like if you create a new product. Again, you need a name for this product or service that you are selling. So just any sort of name that explains it. You can also create a description if you need to further describe the product or service that you're providing. You can add a price to the product, so it will automatically come on when you pick the product for the invoice, instead of having to write the same price again and again and again every time you make an invoice. Then there's also some further information that might not be useful for you, but then there's the revenue category, and the revenue category is put into is for your reports, is for your trial balance and results. So what category this actually prevents. Usually it's just 1110 sales, but you can also create like an account called 1111 and call it sales for Germany, or sales for something else. Specify it, but per usual it's just 1110. Then this is where you put the VAT rule. These are the VAT rules that we saw in the settings at this beginning of the video. So there's 3 rules per hour standard. There's VAT free. If you're telling the system that it's VAT free, then it won't be included in your VAT report at all. So this is only for total VAT-free products, or if your company is actually VAT-free. If you pick regular sales of goods and regular sales of service, then the system will change the VAT according to the customer and the country. So usually we just pick regular sales of goods and regular sales of service, one of these. In my case, I have created a product called chair. I have a description that it is a green chair. The income category is 1110 sales, and the VAT rule is regular sale of goods. And I also have a unit price for 500 kroner. So I don't need to fill this out. Before we look further into this, I just usually check if the invoice number, this is like sequentially, so the system will pick the invoice number for us. Then there's a date, which is just today's date, which is correct. Then we can like pick when the due date is, if the customer needs 7 days to pay, or if it's more or less. You can also pick a default in your settings, so you don't have to change this every time. Yeah, but I see that these informations are correct, so now I just need to check the last couple of things. So right now the product is at 500, and I've said that the price is excluding that. I can also change it so that the 500 is actually including that. And instead of adding VAT on my price, then it calculates the VAT from that price. And now I want to show you how it changes on what company or what country the customer is actually on. So if I change the customer to an American company, then the VAT automatically gets removed. If I do it to an American person, there's also no VAT. If I do it to a Danish company, then there's VAT. Danish person, also VAT. If I do it to a German company, then there's no VAT. But if I do it to a German person, then it is also Danish VAT. So the system actually automatically chooses the VAT just from you having created the product and the customer correctly. Before I approve this invoice, I just check that the payment methods is correct, and it is bank payment method, so that is correct. And the template that I'm using is also the correct one. Now I would say that I'm ready to approve this, but usually I actually recommend you picking preview, because then it opens another tab for you and you can actually see it in a PDF file before you approve it. So this is like easier for you to actually see how the invoice would look. The only thing that is not shown is invoice number, but that is because it's not approved yet. So from a look at this, I would say that looks fine. So I go back and now I can approve it. When I approve it, I have 2 different ways of sending it through Billy. Either I can send it as an e-invoice. If I send it as an e-invoice, I need to use a CVR number, EAN number, or GLN number. And then it's sent as an e-document. I can also send it by email. Then I just need an email address, obviously, and it will get sent from us from a no reply email. If I want to send this manually myself, then I can also just approve it. If I just approve it, then it will just be booked and in our system, and you can download it as a PDF or whatever you want. So I'll approve this invoice. Perfect. Now we made our first invoice. And now if I wanted to, I could download it as a PDF, send it myself, whatever I wanted. When I have now created this invoice, you can see that it is stated as unpaid. And that's because I haven't registered that I've gotten this payment yet. There's two ways of doing this. Either I can reconcile my bank, which I will show you later, or I can manually enter payment. For now, I'm just going to show you how to enter your payment, just to be thorough. So when you press enter payment, there's three informations that we need. Either a payment date or an account. So this is the account for the chart of accounts. Usually you just get your money in your business account, and then you would use this 5710 bank. You can change the amount. So if the customer actually pays you too much, then you could actually write that and say that it's an overpayment. Or if the customer pays you too little, then you can also pick it as partial payment, and then there would still be a 5 kroner payment left for the customer. But once I've registered a payment, it says paid, and I can also see the payment here. Click into it, looks fine. If I go back to invoices, then now the tab will look a little different. It will have a list of all my invoices. So if I had more invoices, then it would be listed here. I can also sort if I want to view 2024, 2025. And I can also sort it in these categories. So if I want to see only paid, then I can click here. If I want to see what invoices is unpaid, I can click there. Yeah. That is enough about invoices. I am gonna go to the bills tab now. So bills is what we recommend booking your expenses as. If you bought something from a vendor, then you can create a bill for it. What I usually say is that our uploads tab and our bills tab goes hand in hand. And the reason why I say that is because if you go into bill and you press create bill, then you get to this tab, create bill, and you can fill out this information for the bill. If you go to uploads and upload your vouchers or bills, and you can do this many ways. You can either download our app and then take a picture of the voucher in our app, and then it will be uploaded here. Or you can do it the manual way on your computer. So you can download the invoice or bill that you've gotten from your vendor and then upload it manually. Or you can send it to your unique Billy upload email, which you can find here. If you want to use this email, then there should be a article on how to do this. If you want to find that, if you can find it on Google, then let us know, and then we'll send you the article. But those are the 3 ways to upload uploads, vouchers, whatever you want to call them, expenses. The reason why I say that they go hand in hand is because we got into that create bill site page. If I click manage on any of these, then it will also go directly to bills and create bill. The only difference is that it has already put in the voucher for it. So that's why it goes hand in hand. When you upload vouchers and try to manage them, then the system will automatically try to create a bill from it. If you have our Plus and Complete subscription, then you might be known with this. This purple kind of stuff is our voucher scanner. It tries to scan the voucher that you've uploaded, and it tries to give you recommendations on how to book it, so you don't have to fill all these informations out yourself. So I have one example. This is a Billy subscription. Obviously this can be scanned by our system. So if you have this scanner and it works, then you can just press accounting program, and then it fills out all these informations on its own. I can register that it is already paid for the bank, and then I can approve. So with this Plus and Complete subscription, when these vouchers are actually scannable for our system, then it is really easy to make your builds and just fill them out. Give it an expense category, a VAT rate. Yes. But let's say that you have a voucher that can't really be scanned. This is more of a manual voucher that I've created for this example, so it's not really correct and doesn't really show that much. So if I press manage, then I have to, just like when I made my invoice, I have to have a vendor instead of a customer. So I don't have a vendor for this, so I'm gonna create a new one. This is just 7-Eleven. If you have our Plus and Complete subscription, then you can search for these companies and then pick them for search from your searches. If you don't have Plus and Complete, if you have the free subscription or basic subscription, then you need to use this button, Create Company Manually. When you create company manually, then you can manually put in the tax ID if you want that, and the country. So now the vendor is created. I pick a bill date. We just put today. Then I fill out the currency. It is in DKK. Description, I bought some gas. This is kind of in correlation with the scanning module. So sometimes you can also search and then you can pick the searches and then the rest, the expense category will be filled out for you. But I'm gonna fill out my search category myself. So in this example, if I paid for gas on my company car, then there is fuel. Then I will choose that category. The voucher says there is VAT on it, but there is different rules for cars, so this might be a bad example. But let's say that there is purchase VAT, I can get the VAT back from SCAT, then I just choose purchase VAT. If I couldn't get the VAT back, then I would choose purchase free VAT. Then there would be no deduction for VAT. Then I just put in the amount, that is 6.5. Oh no. All right. I could also register payment right now, but I'm gonna show you how to do that in the bank reconciliation instead. When I approve this, it is set as unpaid. I can register payment here as well, just like for the invoice. I can also do it by the bank line that the system has found. This is also Plus and Complete function. But if I go back to my bills now, I can see that for fiscal year 25, I have one bill, and for 24, I have one. For all time, I have now these two bills. One of them is paid, one of them is unpaid. Yes. That is expenses. I talked a little bit about bank reconciliation, and now I'm going to show you. In bank reconciliation, you have the function to connect your bank. When you connect your bank, then the bank lines will automatically be imported to our program, so that these bank lines that are here on the left, they will automatically be updated. If there's bank lines over here, that means that you need to book these bank lines. There's been a payment on your bank and it needs to be in your accounting. Over here on the right, you can actually see what you have booked. So we can see that I made this invoice, I made this bill, and it's unpaid, just like we saw before. And I created this bill that is paid. These three postings, mainly these two, because these are registered as paid, they need to have a bank line. And I can't connect my bank, but I've manually imported, so I can show you this example. So there's this invoice, one for Ole Olsen, so I can just drag that over and match it. I can do the same with this one over to Billy Biogators and match it. Now, I told you that this build as unpaid, there was 2 ways to register it as paid. There was in the bills module, so I could go back to bills and register it as paid, or I can do it in bank reconciliation. So if I find a bank line that actually matches this, then even though it says unpaid, if I match this now and then go back to bills, then I can see, if I'm not in the right year, I can see now it's green. Now it's no longer unpaid, it is paid. So that happens automatically if you actually do your bank reconciliation. Now I don't have any unreconciled transactions, but I still have plenty of bank entries from my bank. So this means that all these bank lines needed to be booked. I can either book them as invoice or bills, or I can create invoice here, create another transaction. So let's say for this pay for self, I can say that this is interim with, if it wants to, let me just refresh. So this pay to self, I can make a quick booking by just pressing create another transaction, choosing the account. I could also choose a VAT rate, but in this case, when I pay for myself in a proprietorship, then I don't need VAT rate. Now I've also booked that. I can also go into the daybook. This daybook is, I like to call it as a manually booking. So this is a manual way of booking things. When you make invoices and bills, then there's actually a transaction between 2 or more accounts in the chart of accounts, and there's also a credit and debit. This might be too far-fetched for you guys as beginners in this program, so that's why I won't really go into details with this, but I'll just mention it really quick. In the daybook, you can manually book something by just giving it a description. So let's say today's sale. Then I can pick an account that I want to interfere with, and that is the sales account. Sales VAT is also included in this. I can also say that it's VAT exempt. Then I put something in credit. That could be like 4,000. And if I get this 4,000, if that goes directly into my bank, then I can choose bank here. And then it will credit on sales and sales VAT, and it will debit in the bank, as you can see on the bottom here. But let's say that it didn't go directly into my bank. There's also something that got into my cash holdings. There's something that got paid as a fee, and the rest got into my bank. Then I can add lines over here. I need 4 lines in this. Then I can say that there is fees. Then I can say that there's cash. And the rest got into my bank. So now I need to specify of these 4,000 that is credited, how much is debited in fees and cash and bank. So I can say that 50 krona got paid as fees, 700 got in my cash holdings, and the rest, that is 3,050, got into my bank. So now if you look at the total, there's 4,000 credited, and there's in total 4,000 debited. So this would be a way of using our daybook instead of invoices, because I can't book this as an invoice. And this is just one of 100 examples. You can use the daybook for pretty much everything. The only reason why it's not really used by our customers is because it's more manual and a little more difficult. So Usually our invoices and bills are a lot easier. If you are in an example where you need to use the daybook, then we probably have an article for it, or we can kind of like guide you in the right way. Yeah. But if I book this, let's say there's actually booked 3,250 to the bank. So if I approve this, then there will also come an unreconciled transaction, because that is also a booking to the bank. Yes. Under transaction here in bookkeeping, right beneath daybook, transaction is where you can see a list of everything that you've booked. So if we take all time, then we can see a list of everything that we just made. The first thing we did was make an invoice. Then we registered the invoice as paid, so another transaction was made. Then we created a bill, and then we registered the bill as paid, so another transaction there. Then we created a second bill and re-registered that one as paid as well. We registered it as paid in the bank reconciliation. And in the bank reconciliation, I created a transaction, which is also a daybook, for pay for self. So this is everything that we've booked so far in the system. If I also approved this daybook, then that would also be shown as a transaction. All right. So further on, we need to look at our actual accounting and our reports. How does our numbers look? How is our results? How do we have a profit, loss? What is our bank? This is something that you can view in reports. You can either just view your revenue, like profit and loss, so the results. This is everything you booked for the income, the revenue categories, and the expense categories. Then there's also the balance, which is kind of like your bank and where your money is, or who you owe money on, what's the state of your company, kind of. The trial balance combines the both and shows you the results and the balance in one view. If you have like one category where you think that the balance over here is kind of odd, doesn't really match up, then you have the opportunity to press on that number, and then you can actually see every posting that you've created for that account. So we can get a better example if we look at the bank. If I say, how is my bank in minus 5,576? Then I can show specification, and then I can see, okay, it's because I've created pay for myself and some bills and stuff. So, okay, it adds up now. If there was one of these that were like wrong, then I could click into it, see kind of where it came from, either void it or like edit the bill, something like that. Yeah, that's one kind of reports. But another important report is the VAT settlements. Because the VAT settlements, you either need to report them by quarterly or biannually or monthly. These reports are made completely by the system itself. So it is created by what you actually book in the system. So when you create a bill, as we've done, or an invoice with sales VAT or purchase VAT, then it automatically puts it in here to make the calculations for you. And then it also shows you when you need to settle it. So we have a fourth quarter here by what we've made, and it needs to be settled by March 3rd. If I click into it, I can actually see kind of more specific what it actually, why these numbers are here. I can also see the audit trail, so I can see that, oh, okay, so this number comes from the bill that I created for Ageras. I can also see the current period, and I have sales VAT for the one invoice, and I have some purchase VAT for the other bill I created. And in total, that means I have to get 29 back from SCAT. For reporting these VAT returns, you have the opportunity to connect to SCAT. I obviously can't show you because I don't have a valid company. But on Skat's side, you can make the connection to Billy. And then once it is time for you to settle your VAT, you have this button up here where you can press send to Skat. Then you get to send to Skat's site, and then you can just approve the numbers and make sure that you pay it in time or get the payment from Skat. And then it would also be booked as a settled VAT. After you send it to Skat, then there would be a green button as well that it says register payment or enter payment. Just as you do with bills and invoices, once you've actually gotten paid for the VAT, then you need to register it in the system as well, so your bank aligns. That is pretty much it for today. We also have the contacts module where you can see all the customers and vendors. So if you want to see specifically what have I made to 7-Eleven, then you can see, oh, okay, I have made one bill, or you can sort it out, or you can register ingoing payment. You can register an outgoing payment. If you do these, then you are saying that you paid something without actually having a bill for it or actually getting an invoice. So if you make an ingoing payment, then you need to, it is put in the program system as you owe the money back. You can also get an account statement to see the transactions with this contact throughout time and stuff like that. You can also edit the contacts here. So if your customer gets a new address or something, then you can go into contact and edit the contact here. All right. That is pretty much it for today. I hope this was educational. If there's any questions or concerns about your startup, then let us know by hitting this chat icon. You can write a message to us, and hopefully we can help you as soon as possible and get you a really good start. We also have a lot of articles about issues. We have created the articles in Danish, but most browsers have like a auto translator, or you can translate it in ChatGPT or something. But try to use our articles, try to use our support here in your beginning to make sure that you get the best start for your accounting as possible. But I have nothing more to say for today's video, so I hope you got something out of it, and have a really nice day. Thank you for watching.